Hello and welcome to 5 Question Interviews, a branch of the Player 4 podcast. I'm your host, Tristan, aka Shagrazir on the Rooster Teeth website, and I'm filling in for Joseph this time around. With me today is Chelsea Atkinson, who is Community Marketing Associate for Rooster Teeth. How are you doing today, Chelsea?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Tristan?
I'm doing pretty good. We'll have to find out how Joseph did and make sure it was all worth it.
Yeah. Well, luckily it's a Wednesday and the weather was beautiful, so I'm sure he was enjoying some part of Austin today.
It's pretty much snowing on us here, so I'm a little jealous.
What?
Yeah. Second winter time.
Oh my gosh, we just had a 90-degree day here.
What? I'm buried under 6 inches of snow.
Let's trade.
Okay.
Just for a day? I'd like to experience that.
If only that were easy. We need teleportation.
I'd like to see what real snow looks like just once.
Yeah, Texas is good at getting little flurries. I lived there for about 6 months, and it was 97 and sunny every day for 4 weeks straight, so...
Yeah.
I decided I kind of miss my weather and seasons. So...
Yes.
The format for today is pretty simple. I have written 5 short questions based on some of the info you shared with us, and I will ask them one at a time so you can give the audience an explanation of who you are and what you're interested in.
Sounds great.
So, question number 1.
Yes.
Is it all right if I ask you about your work as Community Marketing Associates?
It totally is.
Good, because it's a really long title. It's like 3 syllables at least in each word.
It's a little bit much.
What are the kinds of things you end up doing or dealing with on a daily basis, and what's the most fun or exciting thing about the position?
So I kind of have a bit of a unique position as a community manager. I'm actually in marketing department. So everything I touch and everything I'm related to is always for the good of the actual Rooster Teeth community, but it's guided by what marketing is actually doing to make sure that the marketing department is not doing something overtly out of what would be appreciated by the community themselves.
So it's a lot of a feedback loop to make sure that the company's marketing direction is in line with community desires?
Definitely.
And are you like a go-between on that feedback loop, dealing directly with the audience there, or are you more on the company side?
I'm definitely more in the trenches with the audience.
Okay.
I try and be as active as possible on the roosterteeth.com website, talking with community groups themselves, and just other members across any platform that we might have, whether that's Twitter, YouTube to an extent, and Reddit.
Okay, well that's excellent here, because I know that I'm a member of a lot of different socially marketed websites, and one of the primary complaints that you hear across the board, no matter what community it's with, no matter what game or TV show it's about, there's always, I wish they would do this, I wish they'd listen to the community more, and there's a lot of this complaint, and not all of it is founded, just to be completely fair, but it's always good to hear and great to see it when you can witness that the company is really taking the time and at least putting somebody out there.
Exactly.
So when the community starts screaming that they want more Ruby or red versus blue, that gets fed back by you to the market and say, hey, this is what we should be heading in the direction of. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit this more. Can we come up with something fun to do that would fill the void because we don't have that show going right now to give people what they want?
I see. Okay, so it's even more than that. That's really cool.
And it's even expanded a bit further in the last year, where I've taken a firmer stance in the customer service side of things as well, to find out where that disconnect might be happening and exactly how we can get our customer service team to do everything that is in the Rooster Teeth way, in the Rooster Teeth voice, and in our manner.
Very important, and probably a little bit stressful role, but I definitely thank you for your work there.
Well, thank you.
Let's see here. Question number 2. According to my sources, Joseph, you enjoy making candles, sewing, and big DIY projects. I wanted to know, what is the biggest DIY project you can remember planning out, and did it come to fruition?
So in recent history, the biggest do-it-yourself project I've done is, I just bought a house.
Wow.
That was a big thing, but I did not build the house by myself. I'm not that crafty.
DIY house.
Yeah, it's man, I decided to learn how plumbing works and electrical. I'm totally a one-skilled woman at this point. No, it was not that. But I bought a house and realized I had this incredible garage And I was like, okay, you have a garage. That means you can make things now.
Nice.
What do you want to make? Well, you need a workbench to make things because you need a workbench to put the things on, to cut the things, to make the things, to do this.
Of course.
So I drew out the plans and I created a massive workbench.
I think if it were me, I would have bought the workbench so that I could create other things, but that is awesome. So I'm guessing this thing is tricked out exactly. You were able to lay it out just the way you wanted for your unique projects then?
Yeah, it's 2 levels and it's about 8 feet wide, 4 feet deep, about 250 pounds.
Wow.
It's not really going anywhere at this point.
No. Getting a couple skateboards to move that one around.
Skateboards, we actually use milk crates and trash cans to be the workbench, to make the workbench, so we could cut it.
Awesome. So this was all DIY, whatever you had laying around to make this work, and then you bought the materials and worked on what you had.
Exactly.
Very nice. I did want to know further, what's the biggest or what's the worst mess you've made doing this? And I mean, this could be a creative mess, this could be the good kind of mess, or this could be what's the worst thing or most expensive thing you've broken trying to do it.
Ooh, let's see. There's been a couple, small things I've broken in the process where it's like, you'll be in the middle of a sewing project and realize that you just broke a very important gear in your sewing machine. Is it going to be like a 1-hour fix? I did spill latex paint all over a section of my carpet once.
Oh no! I guess you had to replace that section of carpet.
That section of the house now has wood.
Forget it. It's not worth it. We're putting in wood.
I was like, I sat down, I cried for a minute because, what else do you do when you spill half a gallon of relatively expensive latex wall paint except cry?
You cry, you have a bowl of ice cream, you sleep on it, and then the next day you go, you know what? I never really liked this carpet anyway.
And that's what happened.
Perfect. I love it. But it sounds like you've created your workspace and you've been able to do, this has allowed you to do even more DIY projects to trick out your new home.
Right now, actually, while we're doing this interview, I have a little area off to the living room, which would normally be like an office of some sort, that I've actually turned into my indoor crafting area. So I have all my felt, fabric, candle making supplies, sewing machine, too much yarn to ever do anything with.
Oh no. Bury yourself in the yarn. I'm going to knit all of the things. Oh, too much yarn.
Yeah, it's now like everything I own has a case. Like I just crocheted a case for my Switch because that obviously needed to be a thing.
I love it. So now you have designer carrying cases for all of the things.
I do.
That's beautiful. Do you do designs like for Rooster Teeth or games that you like, crochet them in?
I'm actually not very good at crocheting. I can do like the really basic like single stitch and sometimes do a double. I've always wanted to learn how to do like actual like embroidery or really fancy things. Like if you see the pillows like people send in to John for on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, I've always wanted to do something like that. Like, have a really god-awful phrase on a pillow.
Well, as you might have been able to tell, I've never even learned to crochet. So, you have my undying respect for having been able to make all these awesome things to spice up the life.
Well, thank you. I mean, knitting is a close, like, call to crochet, so you're in the right realm.
Yeah, I had a few knitting friends. I think they might have tried to teach me knitting. Now I'm thinking back 8 years of my life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, back in college. I was much better at being bad at video games than I was at being bad at making things with knitting. So I sadly stuck with that.
Well, but at least it's also a fun pastime.
Indeed it is. And actually, that's a good segue into question 3. Hooray for me! I totally planned that out. I see here that you like video games, especially ones from the early thousands, and I think we're now distant enough from that not to date ourselves, but we might be able to call it the turn of the century.
Ooh.
Ooh, oh gosh, I almost regret saying it now. Who would you say is your most beloved character from that time period, and which game had your favorite storyline, and why?
Ooh, since those are 2 different questions, I can pick 2 different characters.
You indeed can.
most beloved character of all time is going to be Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, that dude's awesome.
My dad and I I got a PS1 as a gift from my mom, probably in 96 or so. I was given a PlayStation 1 for my birthday, and it was really cool. And it came with, you remember how you would get those demo discs?
Yeah, I do.
That had like 7 or 8 like games on it?
Yes. Yeah, I still remember that. The good old days when I was just a youngin'.
Yeah. Well, like I remember I got that disc and it had a demo of the first Crash Bandicoot, and I want to say it also had the first Spyro on there as well.
It sounds familiar.
And my dad and I started playing, and the first one is so hard. The first Crash Bandicoot is, oh my god, no, why?
Where I bet it aged really well too.
Oh, save points, man. Why didn't they have save points?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you fall off that cliff? You get to start over now.
Yeah. Oh, you want to turn off your console? We'll go back 3 levels.
Oh, it's okay. It just means you get to have all that fun again.
Ah.
For the rest of forever.
No, Crash was my man. It's like even now, as soon as the Twin Sanity remaster came out for PS4, I pre-ordered that the night it came out, and I'm already excited for the fact that we just got news that it's going to the Switch, which is like, oh my god, it's going to be on a Nintendo console now.
Yeah, Nintendo's been doing that. They've been buying up a lot of IP in other places so that they can kind of expand their repertoire, and I'm rather impressed since it's not been a practice of theirs in the last 25 years.
It's so new for them, and it's awesome. I mean, they're going to make money off of it, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. If you can bring the two communities of, PlayStation gamers and Nintendo gamers onto one console, they're going to go places, kid.
Yeah.
Favorite storyline game? Like, if there was an adventure mode, which one you felt the most emotional connection to, or rode with the ups and downs of that story in this back in the good old days gaming?
So you remember how just before you and I jumped onto this, right, I was telling you about my fan fiction?
Indeed, we did.
So Jak 2 from Naughty Dog.
Ah, Jak and Daxter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jak and Daxter, the first game, it's fun, it's heartwarming, it's absolutely gorgeous and has amazing music. Oh my god, I remember sitting next to the TV with a tape recorder so I could record the song. Damn it. I promise I'm not old, but I like tape recorders, and it works.
Still do it today. Just works so well with MP3.
Sit right next to the TV with it turned up to just the right height, telling everyone in the house to shut up so you don't get any background interference. But anyways, to the second game, I was in my early teens, mid-teens when the second one came out. So I was old enough to kind of start exploring the internet, and I found fanfiction.net and I learned what fanfiction was. And so I decided to start writing Jak and Daxter fanfiction after I played the game the first time. And I actually started a repeat, which made me realize just how incredible the story actually is. And really, if you dig into what happens with Jak's past and when he was in prison, it's really, really dark.
Yes.
It just has the opportunity for so much to go on in that world. And to this day, 15 years later or whatever, I still write Jak and Daxter fanfiction, and I still play that game probably once a year.
I applaud you. That's awesome. I love going back and replaying games and realizing that there's much more depth than what I got the first time. And I do that with books, and I'll do that with movies, and go, I didn't catch that element the first time. I didn't realize that this throwaway line really opened up the door for a much deeper backstory. Those kinds of things that you catch the second or third time through, you go, wow.
It's really incredible when that happens.
It is. And it's evidence of actually some really deep thinking on the writer's parts.
That somehow, the writers have managed to create a story that is literally existing for years after it's been past its prime.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I really do. That was good. I love that. I love talking about video games. I'm glad we can talk about that for a while because we've got the podcast coming up. So, question number 4. How did you come to learn about the Player 4 podcast, and how did Joseph convince you to spend an hour with us?
So I don't remember when you guys had Caleb Dinnercore on.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was at least a year ago.
Yeah, so he and I actually worked together. We were co-workers in the same department. And I remember, I want to say it was before he left Rooster Teeth. We were like getting lunch one day and he was like, hey, I got hit up by this guy named Joseph. You know, he's a community member. He has his own podcast. Do you think you would be interested in popping in and doing it? And I was like, sure, why not? It's like, I've never really done something like that, but I'd love to give it a shot. And then a few months later, after Caleb had left, I got an email from Joseph and he was like, hey, you want to do it? And I was like, sure, let's try and find a time that works. And I think it took us 6 months to schedule.
In the grand scheme of things, what's 6 months between friends? Come on.
Exactly.
And well, so here you are.
And I'm here and I'm talking to y'all. Well, not talking to Joseph, I'm talking to you, Tristan, but I'm here.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll have to let Joseph know what he missed out on.
Yes. We'll just have to listen to
it. We'll make him extremely envious. Well, again, thank you very much for your time tonight, and I look forward to the podcast just around the corner.
I'm excited.
All right, are you ready for the final question?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm ready.
How did you first encounter the Rooster Teeth community, and what were the driving factors for you to become so involved that you now have an @roosterteeth.com email address?
So this is the first time I met the community, not when I first got into Rooster Teeth, right?
I guess I mean as a whole, if it was the company first, or if you had been part of the community and then found your way into the company, I guess I'd like to know a little bit of that story. How you got into this place, how that became a part of your life.
Gotcha. So I was in middle school. This was about 2005, and I had a crush on this boy.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
The best stories start off this way.
One day he asked me if I wanted to come over after school and play Halo. And I had never heard of Halo because I was a Sony girl, so I know nothing about Xbox. And I said, sure, of course, why not? It's a video game. I like video games.
I can do this.
I can fake it. So we go to his place and we try and play Halo for a little bit. I'm not good at all. And luckily he noticed that I was horrible at it and not having a blast. And he said, hey, why don't we watch something instead? It's kind of like Halo, but it's a little bit different. And he had one of the bootleg DVDs of early Red vs. Blue Season 1.
I totally don't have 3 of those, don't worry.
So that's how I found out Red vs. Blue existed and started watching it. And by then they were getting into season 2, headed towards season 3. And I started watching it for a couple of years. And then in high school, I actually started working for this woman who had her own company. And she was an accountant. She had a bookkeeping business. And so I was a secretary doing data entry. And I was assigned a new client that day to do credit card reconciliations for, which meant I had to take what they had actually spent on their credit card versus the receipts that they turned in to make sure everything matched up.
Right.
I realized that I was doing Brandon Farmahini's credit card reconciliation from Rooster Teeth.
This name sounds familiar.
I remember running into, and this woman is actually Yvonne Secretan, who is now the COO of Rooster Teeth.
Oh, small world, right?
It really is. And I ran into her office and I went, oh my God, Yvonne, did you get Rooster Teeth as a client and didn't tell me? She was like, yeah, do you know who they are?
I'd never heard of them before today, but they seem pretty fun. Nice.
And then the rest, as they say, is history. But I honestly didn't get my first true interaction with the community until day 5, when they did the filming at RTX 2012.
Right. When they had everybody out in the field as zombies. Is that the one?
Yeah. No, the year after where...
Oh,
so this was
you're right. I'm thinking of 11.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I was at both of those, but 11, I was really awkward and I didn't know how to say hi to anybody. So I just kind of came and got a t-shirt and left.
Oh, so basically me. Okay.
Yeah. We would have been friends from a distance.
Oh my God. Well, we can be friends from a distance now.
Oh.
So the day 5 shoot in 2012 was your first actual hi, I'm Chelsea and you're Rooster Teeth and we're going to be friends forever now.
Yeah, I was asked to help out, and so I controlled 12th Street of Congress. I had a megaphone.
Oh no.
I remember just running around with a megaphone, and somebody said, "Oh my God, she's gone crazy with power." And that's how I knew that we were going to become friends forever.
This reminds me of when they gave Joel a megaphone.
I remember someone saying something about that.
So yeah, definitely you had the right mindset to be part of this company.
Yep, and I made friends with some people that we're still friends today.
Excellent. See? Lifelong friendships. One of the other podcasters that you're going to meet in a few minutes here, Malachi, I've been friends with since about 99, 2000-ish, so we're going on 18, 19 years here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I can definitely appreciate long-term friendships, and even if that friendship is with a corporate entity, it still counts. Thank you very much for this 5-question interview. Before we leave off, I just wanted to know if there was a public handle or a place that members from the community could easily reach you or find you to ask questions, make suggestions, or chat, if that is something that you're open to.
If you want to chat, which I'm always down for, chatting is easiest done on roosterteeth.com. And my username is Chelsea, and that's spelled ChelseA. And then if people just want to send me pictures of their dogs, which I really appreciate, is for Twitter. And my handle is Chattykinson, ChattyKinson.
And in case there's any confusion, we never don't want pictures of your dogs. We will never say no thank you to your dog.
Also, if you don't have dogs, any type of small animal, whether it be fish, mammal, or, alien, those are cool too.
Especially the aliens.
Yes, we promise not to tell the CIA.
It goes into my private collection of cryptids. They'll never know.
It's the folder called porn. You would never look there.
Oh no. Joseph's going to ask me, what were you talking about? And I'll be like, we were having a good time, okay? You should have been there.
Yeah, you missed out on a lot.
His loss. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me today on 5-question interviews. It was great getting to know some more about you, and I hope you'll enjoy speaking with the rest of the cast on the Player 4 podcast very shortly.
I'm super excited, and thank you so much for having me on today, Tristan.
You're very welcome. It was a joy. I'm really sorry that Joseph couldn't be with us today, but again, it was for a good cause. Oh, he did want me to tell you he says hi.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph. All right. Good night. We'll see you on the podcast.